Good evening, dear viewers. I welcome you all on behalf of Indian Medical College to this online class. So, in today's session, we have a great speaker, Dr. Zarina Beham, who will be taking a class on the topic Introduction to Epidemiology, the Part 1. Madam is an associate professor from the Department of Community Medicine from GEMS and Hospital, Srinakulam, Andhra Pradesh. Madam, I kindly ask you to share your slide.
Yeah.
And please start the presentation. And students, if you have any doubts or any clarification regarding the session, you can just post them in the comment section below and your queries will be clarified by our doctor at the end of the session.
So my slides are visible?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kavya. And today, as I've again came up with one another important topic, that is epidemiology. So all of you, and when I was a student, I was also very much afraid of this topic when you talk about it. But when you will read it, you will understand the concepts. It will get easier for you. So I suppose at the end of the session you will get that feel. So we'll start with the learning objectives. So today's session, the learning objectives are to, at the end of the class, you all of you might be able to define epidemiology. That is important. Whenever you will get a question, first you have to write the definition, then enlist different tools of measurement. Okay, what tools are used to measure the different epidemiological studies, what measures we are using, and discuss various measurements for morbidity and mortality and its uses. So this is just a introductory part, so where I will be talking about all these things. So let's start. So what do you mean by epidemiology? So the term itself can be told, this epi means on, among, or upon, or before. Okay, so among, you just remember among. So epi means among, demo means people, okay, or population, man, so different meaning, and logos means study. So it's literally the meaning of epidemiology is that which befalls man, or study of people or population. So that is called epidemiology. So to the study of, if you'll in a descriptive manner, if you want to define what is epidemiology, so that is the literal meaning of epidemiology. But the definition itself, you need to write. It is defined as occurrence and distribution of health related events, states, and processes. Okay, so this is the occurrence and distribution of different health events, state, and process. It's in a specified population. So you need to mention this specified population, including the study of the determinants influencing such process. So along with the health event, what are the other factors or determinants influencing this process or event or health? Okay, so this is, and the application of this knowledge to control relevant health problems. So this epidemiology includes these things: occurrence and distribution of a health event, okay, and a specified population, the second important point you need to mention. And third is, along with that, we need to also study the determinants influencing the health event, okay, and its application of this knowledge to control relevant health problems. So using this knowledge, okay, to control the particular health event. So that is, in motto, is epidemiology. So don't forget any of these important criteria. First is the occurrence and distribution of any health event in a specified population, and with determinants, and applying this knowledge to control the event. Okay, so that is the definition of the epidemiology. Okay, sorry. Then it focuses on mainly three components. Okay, one is disease frequency, okay, that quantifies the occurrence of the disease, disability, or death. Okay, so it, second is the distribution. Okay, disease frequency and distribution means to know the pattern of disease in the population by time, place, and person. Okay, and determinants, to identify the underlying causes of disease. So one is about the disease, what is the frequency, and about the distribution of the disease, when, what, where, time, place, and person it describes, and also the determines other underlying causes of the disease. So it mainly focuses on these three components. So what are the aims of epidemiology? So first, to describe the distribution and magnitude of any health problem, okay, health or disease problem in a population. Okay, and to identify etiological factor in the pathogenesis of the disease. What are the etiological factors for the pathogenesis of the disease? Okay, and third point is to provide the data essential to the planning, implementation, evaluation of the services. In fact, so when you have known the disease, you identify the etiological factor, then you need to plan. Okay, you need to plan, implement a strategy, okay, for the evaluation of the services, for the prevention, control and treatment of the disease in a, and to setting priorities. So once you have identified what is the problem, what are the factors causing the problem, then you have to plan different strategies and you need to evaluate them. So how this who can control, how you can treat, okay, and how you can prioritize your different resources to control the diseases. Okay, so this is the three aims of epidemiology. So the epidemiological approach mainly of two kinds. One is asking questions. So whenever you do something, you ask questions, isn't it? So why this is happening? So first is asking questions related to the health event. Okay, so what happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Who got affected and why this happened? So like we are doing it to know about the epidemiology of COVID-19. So first it happened in Wuhan, China. Okay, when December last. Okay, so December, in the month of December, who affected mainly those people affected, then it spread to others. Okay, so why this happened, that still they are investigating. And related to health action, sometimes what and how. Okay, so that so these things we need to ask while we are doing any epidemiological study. Okay, so this is one of the approach, by asking questions and making comparisons. And second method is, second approach is by making comparisons. So you compare, so which is good, which is who is having more deaths, who is having less deaths. Okay, so between two or more groups, individuals, like with like. Okay, so these are comparisons. So these are two different kind of approach, either by asking questions like descriptive pattern, okay, when, what, who, where, all these things. And second is making comparison by analyzing, so which we are comparing one group with another group. Like sometimes you might have seen in the newses also, we're comparing the cases and deaths in India compared to US, compared to Italy. So how it is different. So there are different studies are also going on. So you will get to know as we will proceed in this chapter. Then measurements in epidemiology. Okay, measurements are different kinds. So like we can measure the mortality, morbidity, disability, natality. Okay, pre this and post. So those things we will discuss as we go on. And second is measurement of presence or absence of or distribution of a characteristic or a attribute of the disease. So that also will know. And medical needs, healthcare facilities, utilization of health services, okay, factors suspected of causing the disease. So these are the measures we need to measure for doing any kind of epidemiological study. And measurement of demographic variables also. So these are different measurements in epidemiology that we will be doing whenever we will go for any kind of study. Okay, so in this context, you need to know these two things. One is what is variate and what is circumstance. Variate means, as we have described earlier also, any piece of information referring to the patient or his disease, but is discrete or maybe continuous. Okay, discrete means yes or no type, and continuous means like height, weight. So this is continuous variable. So this is another discussion that will go later. But one is any piece of information referring to the patient or any disease. Okay, to his disease. Circumstances means any factor in the environment that might be suspected of causing the disease. Okay, so those are the factors causing the diseases. So this variate can affected by any circumstance. Okay, so this health and disease. Okay, so those characteristics of a, okay, information of a patient or a disease is called variate. And the circumstances are the factors that is affecting the disease or might be suspected for causing the disease. Those are circumstances. So in detail we will be dealing it with in later subsequent classes, maybe in epidemiology. So what are the tools used for measurements? So you might have heard about this rate, ratio and proportions. You might be using it also in different contexts in your daily life. So let's know about what are these three tools we are very very known to us, very familiar. So rate, what is a rate? Rate measures the occurrence of some particular event in a population during a given time period. So remember that here the rate comprises of these important things. One is numerator, denominator, and time specification. So you don't forget this time specification. So that is important. You need to remember time specification in calendar year and a multiplier or multiplication factor. So these four things should be there in a rate when you describe a rate of any health event or a disease or a disease person. Okay. So what is example like death rate? So what do you mean by COVID death rate? So number of deaths in that particular time. Suppose we are using 1 year, and mid-year population. So when you will take mid-year population is the middle of the year. So now today is 31st, sorry, 30th June maybe. So 1st July. So till before 1st July, the number of population is there in that particular area. So that population is called mid-year population. Okay. So that population and number of death in that 1 year into 1,000. So that will give you the death rate. So death rate. So just remember rate means the four things you have to remember. One is your numerator, denominator will be there, okay, and a time specification, okay, and also a multiplier. So you need to define, suppose death rate came as 100, okay, 150 something, 150,000 per thousand population in 2020, okay. Also per how many population per thousand in 2020, okay. So that's what you need to mention. That completes your writing of rate in complete sense. Next come to rate. Could be different categories. There are various categories like crude death rates or crude rates. You might have crude birth rate, death rates. Specific death rates means specific causes due to tuberculosis, how many deaths. Okay, specific groups in elderly, how many deaths, in young children, the deaths. So those are specific rates, okay, and specified time periods. What is the death in this month, or a weekly death rate. So those things, or annual death rate, so those things are comes under specific death rates. So they will give the rate in a specified disease, in a specified age group, or in a specified gender like females, or in a specified time period. Standardized death rates are also there, that we will discuss in few minutes. Then come to ratio. So those we have discussed about rates. Now come to ratio. So what do you mean by ratio? Ratio, it expresses a relation in size between two random quantities. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, there are 4 males and 1 female. Okay, so they are here, the numerator is not a component of denominator. Okay, so this female doesn't belong to the male category, isn't it? So there are just a ratio between males and females. So that is what you need to just remember. In ratio, there is numerator is not a component denominator. Okay, it's just a relation between two random quantities. Okay, the numerator and denominator may involve an interval of time or may be instantaneous in time. Okay, just remember ratio means there is this relation between two random quantities. Okay, and proportion, what is proportion? It is a ratio which is where it indicates the relation in magnitude of a part of the whole. Okay, a part of a whole. The numerator is always included in the denominator. Okay, you can say proportion where the numerator is a part of denominator. Okay, if here we can tell that 4 males out of there is 4 students out of 5 students in a classroom. Instead of this male female, suppose I will tell there are 4 students out of 5. So those will be a proportion. Okay, there are 4 males in students out of the 5. So this is just a proportion where the numerator is part of. So whole class population is 5, number 5 total. Among that 4 you are taking, or 1 female in the whole classroom. So 1 by 5. So that is a proportion. Okay, where numerator is a part of denominator. Okay. Next come to this confusing terminology again, numerator, denominator. Everybody knows about it, I know that, but still just sometimes there will be confusion. So when you are describing a rate, ratio, or proportion, so just remember numerator is a like this person, a Norman, okay, who always prefer to ride on our denominator, the donkey. Okay, the numerator, the Norman, okay, the person, or you can say a villager, okay, normal, who prefers to write on the denominator the donkey. Okay, so nm by d. So n, what numerator means, the number of times an event has occurred in a population during a specified time period. Okay, that comes as a numerator, and is a component of denominator in calculating a rate or proportion, but not in the ratio. So as I told you, when I described a rate, or when you are writing a proportion, the numerator can be a part of denominator, okay, component, but not in ratio. Ratio is just a random, this relation between two random quantities, okay. And d, what is denominator? This is appropriate denominator has to be chosen in the calculating of any rate. So the denominator could be, you might have seen in crude death rate, the denominator is mid-year population. Okay, so related to population, it could be mid-year population, population at risk. It could be described as person time, person distance, okay, and subgroups of the population. It could be related to total events, like in infant mortality rate, case fatality rate, or accidents, number of accidents per thousand. It's not always be like mid-year population or in terms of population. It could be in terms of total events. Okay, so like number of accidents, okay, per thousand vehicles or per million vehicle miles. So in that way also you could describe this. You can put the denominator into. Okay, so either in terms of related to population or related to any kind of event, so that could be in the denominator. Hope I'm clear. If any doubt, you can write in the chat box. I will see in the end of the class. Then there are some measurements of mortality. So as you know about the tools, or different tools like rate, ratio, and proportion. So now we just come to, there are different measurements for mortality and morbidity. What do you mean by mortality? Mortality is nothing but it's just the number of deaths. Okay, information on death analysis. Okay, so how many deaths has happened. So that is the mortality, means number information on death. Okay, analyzing the death. Then it is the starting point of all epidemiological studies. So whenever you will start or think of any epidemiological study, you will just first think how much mortality of this disease, isn't it? When you talk about COVID-19 also, first you will see how much the death. So if the death is high, the fatality is high, then you will think of any intervention or any analysis or description in it. So first is, it's a starting point of all studies, and easy to obtain due to routine system of collecting mortality data. So why it is easy to obtain? Because in every case you might have seen in PSCs or any hospital, that if there is death happens, that will be registered. Okay, and easy to collect the mortality data. Okay, a set of questions regarding death during pregnancy in infancy are added to improve the quality of mortality data in India. So why this is a different? So this is the international form for medical certification of cause of death. You might have seen also, but here what, there are two parts, part 1 and part 2. Here you can see the part 1, the disease or condition directly leading to death is written, okay, in A. And B, C, those are antecedent causes, okay, morbid conditions, if any, giving rise to the above cause, stating the underlying condition test. Okay, last. So these B and C, mostly the C part is important, which is the cause leading to the train of events causing or leading to death. Okay, train of morbid events that lead to mortality. Okay, so that's why, so important cause, what is the direct cause of death, and what is the underlying cause. So this underlying cause is important to know, because that will help you to intervene or to plan something to control the disease. Okay, so the direct cause could be due to heart failure, but the heart failure, the underlying cause could be diabetes. Okay, uncontrolled diabetes. So that's what important is, diabetes. So that we could plan some intervention to control diabetes. So that is what in one. In part 2, the other significant conditions contributing to death but not related to the disease or condition causing it could be written in part 2. Okay, but ideally it's should be written properly, but not practice maybe. So that is why we will have some limitations also for this mortality data. What are the limitations? Because of incomplete reporting of the diseases, and sometimes diseases with low fatality, that is also not that is problematic. That is our limitations. And changing coding system. So according to this international classification ICD-10, we have got this form. Okay, but this classification are changing. Okay, so these ICD codings are also updated, so that is not conveyed, I mean, that is not everybody is not aware of that. So this changing system is a problem. Lack of accuracy and uniformity. Okay, it's not uniform and not accurate also, so everybody will not give the same reasons, it's subjective. Then choosing a single cause of death. So as you can say here, there are part one, the root cause, then there is underlying causes also. So choosing a single cause of death also is sometimes problematic, because you sometimes you might not know why this death has happened. Okay, so that is why this mortality data has some limitation. So how you can use this mortality data, or to explain the trends, indicates priority for health action and allocation of resources. Once you know how the trend is there, when is suppose for COVID-19 you are searching, so there is mostly north Maharashtra and MP, so there are more number of death, so you know the trend, so there the death is more in north. Also there are in Karnataka the deaths are high, so you it will explain the trend of the disease. Okay, and indicates the priorities of our health action and allocation. So in that way the government will plan where to divert its resources. So in northern states in India, the more mortality is there, deaths are there, so they will divert more resources towards it, isn't it? So similarly also it will help in designing intervention programs. Okay, and then assessment and monitoring of public health problems and programs. So that is also will be helpful for assessment and monitoring. Some program is running, so how it is effective, is it effective or not, by knowing the death trends. Okay, if the death is decreasing by the program, means it is effective. So if it is not, the death is the same or not, or increasing rather, then the program is not effective at all. So that will help in assessing the prevention programs. Okay, then clue, this program, different program. Then clues for epidemiological research, it also gives you clues to different epidemiological researches. Okay, now come to different rates and ratios related to mortality. Okay, first is crude death rate. Okay, what do you mean by crude death rate? It measures the rate at which the deaths are occurring from various causes in a given population during a specific period of time. Okay, during a specific period. It is important to recognize that the crude death rate summarizes the effect of two factors. One is population composition, because out of the all population, how many has been died because of different reasons, not only one. So different reasons. So a specific death rates which reflects the probability of dying. So this is also, it affects it also two factors that will affect the crude death rates. So one is population composition and second is a specific death rates. But it lacks comparability with population that differs by age and sex. Okay, so some population where there is, it lacks comparability, so you can't compare by just knowing the crude death rate. So there are some limitation by crude death rate. It just says how many deaths in total population, it doesn't say how many deaths are there in elderly, or how many deaths are there in males, or how many deaths because of tuberculosis. So it gives you a overall picture, but it is not specific. That's why they coined the term of specific death rates. So here it gives you a specific data. Okay, specific death rate, like specific for a disease, specific death due to tuberculosis. Okay, specific death in age group, an elderly age group more than 80. Okay, sometimes specific death rate in males. Okay, so it will only contain how many males died because of the because of anything, any reason among the total population. So these are called specific death rates. Okay, so like this picture showing COVID-19 mortality rate by age. Okay, age specific death rate. Here you can see the more than whenever 60, the age is growing, so the mortality is death rate is increasing. So here this picture shows you that the death rate is more in elderly population. So it gives you idea, specific idea. But if instead of this, I will say the death rate is around suppose 10% in the global, the crude death rate is 10%, so it doesn't give you proper information. But when you see specific death rate, you will have an idea that elderly people has got more death due to COVID-19, so you will take precautions accordingly, isn't it? So it helps to identify a particular group at risk for preventive actions. So in this example, you might have understood the explanation. Okay, so this is some examples of specific death rates that is given in your park textbook. So just I have randomly copied from there. So you might have also daily coming this picture. So specific death rate due to tuberculosis, where you will take the number of deaths from tuberculosis only, okay, in a calendar year by median population into 1000. Similarly, specific death rate for males. So here you will take only death among males, isn't it? On the formula is same, median population into 1000. The specific death rates in age group 15 to 20, where you will take deaths happen only in the age group of 15 to 20. Okay, divided by median population into median population of persons aged 15 to 20 into 1000. Okay, and last similarly, when you take death rate of January, suppose, so death occurring in January by median population to 1000. Okay, so here weekly also you can take death in the week, okay, into 52 by median population in 1000. So weekly how many is? So these are the some examples of specific death rates. Now come to case fatality rate. So this is another measure of mortality. Okay, so how to find case fatality rate? So it is nothing but total number of deaths due to particular disease by total number of causes due to the same disease. Okay, cases, sorry, total number of cases by total number of deaths of the same disease into 100. So it is mostly represented in percentages. Okay, so represents the killing power of the disease and related to virulence of the disease. Okay, so here you can say, and used to acute infectious diseases but limited use in chronic infection. As usual, you can very well understand this sentence. It is only those which is more fatal, so it will give you the killing power of the disease, or it will give the virulence of the disease. It is related to the virulence of the disease. So similar, if I have to give example of COVID-19, here also you can see the case fatality rate. So here you can see Belgium, Spain, Italy has highest this case fatality. Okay, means the killing power of the disease COVID is more in these areas compared to India. India is only 3.3%. Okay, so it is previous data, not recent data, but just to show you what do you mean by case fatality rate. It is the killing power of the disease. So why it is more in Italy, that is another discussion, but you can just imagine Italy, Spain, Belgium, there are more elderly age group populations, so they are affected by this disease, and that's why they are more severe, they're getting more severe kind of disease, that's why deaths are more. Okay, the fatality is more in those areas. So that's what it means by case fatality rate. I hope I'm clear. Shall we proceed to proportional mortality rates? So what is this proportional? So proportion we have understood. So here similarly proportional mortality of a specific disease. So what you say here, proportion means here numerator is a part of denominator. Okay, it component of a denominator. So let's see what happens in this proportional mortality rate for a specific disease. Number of deaths due to specific disease, suppose tuberculosis in a year, but total deaths from all causes in that year. Okay, so in all causes, tuberculosis death is also included, isn't it? So all deaths, among that, how many died due to tuberculosis? So here numerator is a part of denominator, and it gives you a proportion. Okay, so the proportion of tuberculosis death is something, suppose 60% out of total deaths. Okay, so this is what, so 2 by 10 or something, 6 by 10, it's like that. Okay, into 100. So that is what this proportional mortality rate means. Similarly, under 5 proportional mortality rate, where you will take the deaths under 5 years of age in a given year by total number of deaths during the same period. Okay, so that gives you the proportional mortality rate for under 5 years. Okay, PMR, this PMR for aged 15 years and above. For them, similarly, you will take number of deaths of a person aged 15 and number of deaths for all age groups in that year. Okay, from among all age groups, what is the total number of deaths? Among that, more than 50 age group, how many deaths has happened? Okay, that will give you a proportional mortality rate. Okay, so this proportional mortality rate expresses the number of deaths due to particular cause per 100 or 1000 total deaths. Okay, and it limited value in making comparisons between different population groups, but it has a limited value. Okay, so that how we will tackle, we will see by the next few slides. So survival rate, another example of measurement of mortality. So this is what the total number of, how will you calculate this survival rate? Total number of patients alive after 5 years by total number of patients diagnosed or treated. Okay, so how many patients are alive after 5 years? Okay, after being diagnosed or treated. So that is what you will give survival rate. Here you can see as an example of stomach cancer I have given, where the 5-year survival rate by stage it is detected. So as the stage is increasing, higher stage, the more the survival rate is decreasing. You can see when overall it is that when it is stage 1, the survival rate is about 80%, 90%. When it is stage 4, the survival is about 10%. Okay, so this method is to describing prognosis in certain diseases, so that you already know, can be used as a yardstick for the assessment of standards of therapy. So if the therapy is working or not, to know that you can check the survival rate in terms of 5 years. Okay, so 5-year survival rate of a particular therapy. Suppose you are giving a chemotherapy for some cancer patient, so how much it's effective. Okay, so to assess that, you can use the survival rate, specifically useful in cancer studies. Okay, then this is important. So that I told you some crude thread and proportional mortality, that is not, this utilization is limited. Okay, but when we talk about this limitation, we have to see, we have to know about adjusted or standardized rate. What does it mean? The standardized rates are again can be done by direct or indirect method. The direct method, we will have to choose a standard population like our national population. Then indirect standardization by this SMR and others that we'll talk about in next slides. So what do you mean by direct standardization? So standardization means you need to select a standard population. Standard population is nothing but where the number of each age and sex groups are known. So you know the number of each age group persons and in each sex. Okay, that is known already, so that is called standard population. Or as I said already earlier, national population used as a standard when inter-regional comparison between the cities are made. So mostly we are using national population as our standard population. Okay, so where we know the age and sex structure, isn't it? Then apply the age specific rates of the population whose crude death rate is to be adjusted. So then what you do, once you take the standard population, then apply the age specific rates of the population whose crude death rate is to be adjusted. Suppose we choose a population of a city X. Here you have taken a population of a city X whose crude death rate you want to standardize. Okay, so then what you will do, so here you will use these age specific death rates, okay, of this standard population and apply to the standard population. Here you are taking the age specific death rates of city X population. Okay, whatever population is there in the city X, those cities age specific death rate will be applied to the standard population. In the next slide I will show you. So here you have applied the age specific death rate. So you have seen here 15 and 0 and 1 to 4, there is 4.4. So this is there in the previous slide I'm showing. So these age specific death rates of the city X population will be applied to the standard population. So whose age and sex structure we already know. So there we will apply these age specific death rates. Okay. So there is no way of annotation. Okay. So here age specific death rates will be applied here in the standard population and we'll find some expected deaths. So if you'll apply this age specific death rate to standard population, for each age group we will get some expected death. So what we'll do at the end, you will add all the expected deaths. You will get this. You have got this in this example 609.94. Okay. Then what you'll do, divide the expected total number of deaths by the total of the standard population by what is the standard population strength, that is total 93,000. Okay, so here what you will do, you will divide it 609 divided by 0.94 divided by 93,000 into 1000. So it will give you the standardized death rate. So here it is 6.56. But what actually crude death rate for this population? So you in previous slide I'm going. So here the crude death rate you can see at the bottom of this picture. Crude death rate per thousand is 8.3. But when you standardize it by the method of direct standardization, applying the age specific death rate to the standard population, you will get the standardized death rate, that is 6.56. So when you standardize, the crude death rate comes down from 8.5 to it comes to 6.3. Okay, so this is one of the method where you will standardize. It is more comparable, it's used for comparability, you can say. Why you will standardize? You need comparison. Okay, that's why we will use standardization technique. So another method is indirect standardization. What is this indirect standardization? What you will do, the opposite you can see. Okay, the specific death rates of the standard population. Okay, what you are doing in the previous one, direct standardization, you are using the age specific death rates of the city X and you are applying to the standard population. Okay, but here will take the specific age specific death rates of the standard population and are applied to the retrospective age groups of the X city X population. Okay, of the area to be compared. Okay, in that area population you will apply those. Okay, so here you can see here the population is specific death rate of the standard population. Okay, standard specific death rate will be applied to those population and you will find some expected death rates. Okay, so death expected in each age group will be added and divided by the total population of the area to obtain the index death rate. Here you will get, if you will take, here it is 229 expected deaths and you will divide it by the population of the area. Suppose city X here 22,443 into 1000, you will get the index death rate, that is 10.2. Okay, originally the death rate will be 8.5 but it is now 10.2. Okay, so crude death rate was 8.5 but it is now 10.2. Okay, so here what you do, the ratio of crude death rate to the index death rate is known as standardizing factor. So this is the standardizing factor 0.83. Okay, so just remember two things, very important, you will get confused. So direct standardization, what you will do, you will choose a standard population, you will apply the a specific death rate of a city X, unknown city X, to the known standardized population. Okay, then you will find expected deaths and then you will divide with population and find the standardized death rate. But here in indirect standards, what you will do, you will take the specific death rates of the standard population. Okay, and apply to the city X population and find out the expected death rates and then you will find the indexed death rate. Okay, so I hope I'm clear. Again, you go through the slides, it will be recorded, so you'll understand if you have missed something. Here in indirect standardization, we will get the standardized mortality ratio. So what we are told, SMR is nothing but observed death by expected deaths into 100. It's called standardized mortality ratio. Okay, so it is a ratio of the number of deaths that occur in the study group to the expected number of deaths in the standard population. That will give rise to SMR. So what is it? SMR is what is its importance? Why you will find out this observed death by expected death into 100. So it will give you an idea. So if SMR is less than 100, okay, indicates that the mortality conditions are better in a particular region, okay, compared with the standard population. Okay, suppose you will take now which state is doing better. So for example, Orissa, I have recent news. I find that the state is doing much better than other states of. So when you find the SMR, suppose standardized mortality ratio compared to the national average, so you will get the SMR will be less than 100. So compared to the national standard population, the state population is doing good. Okay, so that's what the importance of SMR. SMR less than 100 will indicate the mortality conditions are better in a particular region, okay, compared to the standard population. I hope I'm clear. So I have given the example of a recent trend where Orissa is doing better than to compare to national average. So here another example, you can go through the book, but I will proceed to next slides because we have to discuss some other points also. The other standardized techniques also are there, not much of this time to research about, just know that things. So it could be calculated as an index death rate and a standardizing factor for each population of interest, as we have discussed. It could be done through life table and regression techniques and multivariate analysis. So these are very much you have to go into it to understand that. Just remember the name, so it will be useful for your exams, and know the techniques of direct and indirect standardization. Okay, that is very much important. Now coming to our last few slides, where we will use the measurements of morbidity. So till now we have been discussing about the measurements for mortality, different rates we have discussed, rate, ratio, proportions, everything we have discussed. Now let's talk about the measurements of morbidity. Okay, measurement of morbidity. What do you mean by morbidity actually? Morbidity, the persons who were ill, the illness itself. Okay, so once death occurs, considered as mortality, okay, but the suffering, the illness causes the morbidity. So how will you measure that morbidity? So they measured in terms of either the person who were ill, the frequency, how many persons are in morbid condition, okay. So example, by incidence of the disease, how many are infected, new prevalence of the disease, we will talk about it, and number of days, duration of illness, okay. In terms of how many disability rate, okay. So in terms of disability rate, we can just tell how we can measure the morbidity, okay. Like Delhi Quelly, you might be learning it in the first chapters of textbook. So this disability adjusted life years, quality adjusted life years, or this uh, these things are we discussed in earlier first chapter, so I'm not going to discuss all these things. So these things will in terms of number of days of illness, so that's how you can measure the morbidity. And the last one, the illness, the severity can be measured by case fatality rate. So earlier also we have done for mortality also, and also for morbidity it will measure the severity of the disease, okay. By seeing the case fatality rates, knowing that, we can just have an idea about the morbid condition, how fatal it is, how severe it is, okay. So here in a simple term, if you want to know what is mortality, is nothing but the incidence of deaths in a population. Morbidity is population of in illness, okay, the proportion of illness in a population. So nothing but the suffering or illness is described as a morbidity, okay. Okay, now this incidence. So what do you mean by incidence? The number of new cases occurring in a defined population during a specified period of time, okay. So it just, incidence means new cases, so people remember that. So it is just the new cases occurring in a defined population during a specified period of time, okay. So that is important to mention the time. And number of new cases of a specific disease during a given time period by population at risk, okay, in during that period into 1000 gives you the incidence rate, okay. So this incidence rate, I told you, so you need to mention about the time also, it is important. Just new cases doesn't give you anything. So new cases in a defined population during a specific period of time, that you need to mention, because just you will say new cases means, if you not mention the time, so that might be a prevalent, or they came might be earlier or later, so you don't know. That's why along with new cases, you need to mention in a population new cases during a specific period of time. That is important. There are some special incidence rates that I will discuss. That is, one is attack rate, number of new cases of a specific disease during a specific time interval by total population at risk in the same interval of time, okay, into 100. So these special incidence rates are represented in terms of percentages. So here attack rate is number of new cases of a specific disease by total population at risk in the same time interval into 100. Okay. What is secondary attack rate? Here secondary attack rate is no number of exposed persons developing the disease within the range of the incubation period by total number of exposed or susceptible contacts. Okay. So here denominator is total number of susceptible contacts, okay, and number of exposed person developing the disease, okay. What do you mean by how it is different from attack rate? Here the index case is missing. What is the index case? The first case getting any disease is called the index case, okay. So index case here is missing. So in secondary attack rate, here the denominator is total number of exposed persons because of that index case, total exposed persons. Suppose one person is affected in 100 population, so those are exposed are 99%, okay. So total number of exposed or susceptible contacts comes under denominator, and the numerator is number of exposed person developing the disease, okay. So out of this 99, how many develop the disease comes under within the range of the incubation period, okay. That also you have to remember. That comes under numerator, okay. So number of exposed people getting the disease during the incubation period, range of incubation period, by total number of exposed person, okay, or susceptible contacts into 100 is secondary attack rate, okay. That is important to know the transmissibility, okay, of the disease. So like in COVID-19, one case is there, we are screening or we are searching for their contacts, okay, who are exposed. So we will be sealing or quarantining all other persons. Okay, so that will help you to know the transmissibility of the disease. Okay, here like out of 100 who are exposed due to one case, okay, and out of 100 suppose 99 you got 10 or 20, okay, and compared to some other cases or other diseases you might get higher. So this in terms the secondary attack rate tells you about the transmissibility of the disease. Okay, so now come to the uses of incidence. So what are the uses? Mostly to control the disease. So once you know how many new cases are there, so it will help you to control the disease. So you can plan, design the interventions, okay, and prevention strategies for controlling the disease, and also for research into etiology and pathogenesis distribution of the disease. So it will also help in to identify or to research into different etiological factors, how it happened, the pathogenesis behind it, the distribution of the disease, time, place, person. So this is gives you the idea of this research into different things. Then efficacy of preventive and therapeutic measures. So once incidence is there, suppose is you have given some intervention or therapy, okay, preventive measures. So is it effective or not? That also you will know by seeing the incidence. If incidence is not decreasing after the intervention or any strategies, means this is not effective. Okay, if after applying this therapeutic measure or preventive measure the incidence is decreasing, then that is effective. So this is in terms of it is help to identify the efficacy of the different preventive and therapeutic measures. Okay, hope I'm clear. So last two slides. So next come to the very important another measure for morbidity, that is prevalence. So that is also very familiar to you have been using this in various researches. So what is the prevalence rate, what is of diabetes or tuberculosis, everything. So what is mean prevalence is the term, it refers to specifically to all current cases, old and new. So not only news, new means in a specified period of time, that is incidence, but all cases, current cases, old or new in a specific time is called prevalence. Okay, and existing at a given point of time or over a period of time in a given population. Okay, in a given population, in a given point of time or in a period of time, all the current cases old and new are called as prevalence. Okay, so there are two types as the term itself given in a point of time, then it's point prevalence, or over a period of time it's period prevalence. So that we'll get to know. So what is point prevalence? Defined as the number of all current cases of a disease at one point of time in relation to a defined population. So at one point, suppose 2020 July 31st or something like that. Okay, so in one point of time, what is the number of current cases, okay, in a of a specific disease at a in a specific population. Okay, so what is point prevalence rate? The number of cases, current cases by estimated population at the same point of time, okay, into 100 will give you the point prevalence. Okay, but period prevalence, it measures the frequency of all current cases existing during a defined period of time. Okay, expressed in relation to the defined population. Okay, number of all current cases of a specific disease during a given period of time. Okay, from suppose 1st of January to 31st of July. So that is period. So something a specific period of time, the total number of current cases by estimated mid interval population at risk. Okay, into 100 will give you point a period prevalence. Okay, hope I'm clear. So to just describe this prevalence and incidence relationship in simpler term, so you might have come across this picture many a times. Okay, the tub filling with a tap. Okay, so whatever coming from the tap is incidence, the new cases. Okay, that is incidence, and already the tub has already got some water, so that is signifies along with the incidence cases are adding up to it. So total is called old and new. Total current water content or total current cases are called prevalence, old and new. Okay, some recovered and some died, or mortality, in terms of mortality will be discussed. Okay, so here in this in relation to these pictures, prevalence equal to incidence into mean duration. So relationship can be explained in this sentence. Prevalence is nothing but incidence multiplied by mean duration or time. Okay, so longer the duration of the disease, greater its prevalence. Okay, if the disease has got longer duration, okay, so longer the duration of the disease, the greater the prevalence. So means more new cases will be adding up and the prevalence will be more, because of all the patients are not cured or died or recovered. So the duration is longer, then the prevalence will be higher. If the disease is acute, means very acute it comes, then the prevalence will be low. Why? Because acute cases there will be death, more fatal, so more fatality will be there, and more number of cases are died. So that's why the this in the tub the water will be leaking, you can say that are the deaths that signify. So as the more the acuteness of the disease, that will cause lower prevalence, the prevalence will be lower. Okay, the as the incidence is coming, more number of deaths are there, so that's why the prevalence will be lower. I hope you people have understood. So as the duration is higher, because incidence into duration, so if duration is higher means the prevalence is higher. Okay, if there is acuteness, okay, more acute disease, then there will be lower. Okay, so acute disease there will be death more, the incidence will be more, the more this, as in this stuff, the death, more leaking of water, so that will cause lower prevalence. I hope you have understood. Then come to uses, the last slide. So what are the uses of prevalence? To estimate the magnitude of health or disease problems in the community and identify the potential high risk population. Okay, this prevalence will give you, or it will uh, to use, you can use it for estimating the magnitude of health. Okay, how much caseload is there. Okay, how many people are at risk. Okay, so that we can plan some strategies. And it's also useful for administrative and planning purposes, like hospital beds, manpower, rehabilitation facilities. Okay, so that will help. So as you can know, the here we can just say about if any tuberculosis disease or any communicable disease, suppose like COVID also. So if you know about the incidence and prevalence of the disease, okay, so that will help you to plan the strategies. Okay, like how many beds are needed in the hospital. So if uh, cases are more, the hospital will may run out of beds, so that's why you need to plan accordingly. So this will give you an idea. So morbidity measures like incidence and prevalence help you to plan ahead. Okay, so this is another picture just showing incidence is nothing but new cases, prevalence is old and new cases. Okay, so thank you. But before going, just I will summarize all the points in 3 or 4 sentences. Epidemiology, the definition full I have written it because it is very important, and you need to remember the 4 things. What are these? This is the occurrence and distribution of the health related event or state or process. Okay, and a specified population, you need to mention a specified population. Okay, including the study of the determinants that is influencing the such events. Okay, and applying those knowledge to control the relevant health problems is in toto called as epidemiology. Okay, and second is rate and ratio. Proportions are different tools of measurement. As I told you, you know, there are mostly we are using these 3 tools: rates, ratios, or proportions to describe the uh, epidemiological factors. Okay, so these are the 3 tools of measurement. And third is incidence and prevalence, mostly used as a method of measurement in morbidity. There are other methods also, but mostly we are using incidence and prevalence, okay, for measuring the morbidity. And also the crude, when you come to rates, mortality, measurement of mortalities, that we are using different rates, ratios, proportions. In rates, we have discussed crude death rates, specific death rates, standardized death rates, different proportional mortality rates, survival rates, case fatality rates. All these things can be used for measuring the mortality. And I hope you people have understood. Now I will stop the slides. Thank you so much. And I'll wait for some time if I have any queries.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a really wonderful session. Students, we request you to post any queries or clarification in the comment section. And thank you for being a wonderful presenter again. And it's our and it's our pleasure to have you here with us again, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shall I